Now, I review a lot of flashlights on this channel, and rarely do I run into a situation where I am struggling to find something to critique. And even rarer that I find 3 in a row, all of which have almost nothing bad about them. So we're going to talk today about 3 different flashlights from a company called Weltool and why they may be their respective best in slot. So this flashlight might look very familiar. In fact, I reviewed this a little while back, and although I was very impressed with its output, I thought the user interface was really wonky. It always came in on medium, and it feels like that kind of defeated the entire purpose of having a flashlight with so much power. Thankfully, they have fixed not only that, but actually upgraded it in other capacities as well since the reviewing of this flashlight. It's also worth noting at the beginning of this video that I have purchased all of these myself, and so take that as you will. Now, this is the upgraded flashlight, and I just had the clip reversed to try it on my hat, and so it can be put in either position, so you can do that, and you can tell this is a far better clip, far better clip than the past generation. It actually will seat properly in your pocket instead of having, anyway, this is a bad clip. Let's not talk about that anymore. But you can tell right away which one you got. If you got it with this clip, you got the right one. If you got it with this clip, you got the old version. And the way they're listed actually is the T1 Pro Tac versus the T1 Pro. And I'm sorry that they don't have it written on the head. I'm sure that's just some cost savings there. But definitely there's a distinction between the two, and you definitely want the Tac version, no question, for sure. So this flashlight is capable of reaching 540 lumens, but the really big thing here is not the lumen count, because there are flashlights with a AA that actually have higher lumen counts. It's the beam concentration, or the candela, that really makes this thing, well, shine. And that is 21,000. 21,000. This can reach 290 yards of distance for its beam, which is quite impressive for a small AA powered flashlight. And yes, it does also run on the 14500, which is where these stats are coming from. It also can run on a AA that will bring it down to 160 lumens for the high, but still 5700 candela. That's still so much better than the majority of AA powered flashlights on the market. So if you're looking for something defensive in nature that is really small and versatile as far as batteries are concerned, this might be the right ticket item. Now, when I turn this on, it is a very strong hotspot in the center with, well, it's having a hard time focusing if I'm showing you this. And just believe me when I say it's one of the brightest flashlights of this size that I've ever tried, for sure. And it also has a low mode. Now, the low mode with the 14500 is 86 lumens, but still has 2500 candela. It's not really a low mode, okay? In fact, that is more than twice as bright as the high mode on the i3T2, which is technically 200 lumens. All right, so to put that in perspective, it is still very, very bright, but thankfully they have that because the primary mode is far too bright to use in close proximity to basically anything. So I do appreciate that. And just to show you how you access it, and I'm gonna make sure I do this, so I'm looking at it, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can see on the 4th press, I'm able to get the low, and that's the low, okay? That's the low mode. Still very, very, very bright. Now, if you're using a AA, this will actually drop down to only 3 lumens, and that will run for 92 hours, which is perfect, honestly. The way this works with both a AA and a 14500 actually lets you pick between more of an EDC functionality or a defensive aspect. And you don't necessarily have to choose between the two. You can buy, it comes with a 14500, so I will tell you it comes with one that is for the brand, but you can buy, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize it, because the larger batteries didn't have this. It actually has a Type-C port. So never mind, I was gonna say you could buy one with a Type-C port. I didn't realize that this new battery already had it. So yeah, it's perfect. Okay, so the one critique I thought might be the issue isn't even a thing. Let's make it simple. As of right now, if you want a defensive flashlight that is really compact and very, very bright, the Weltool T1 Pro Tac is basically as good as it gets. I don't know of any light that comes even remotely close to this in beam concentration and versatility, right? It comes with a battery that has Type-C charging. It can use AA's. It can use the lithium, off-the-shelf Energizer lithiums. It can use rechargeable batteries. It can use the full range. And if you wanted to, you can even get a tube to extend it and allow you to use 2 AA's as well. So the versatility here is truly impressive. I don't know what more to say. I mean, we're just going to end it here. I'm going to give this like the 2 thumbs up. This is basically as good as it gets. Just keep in mind that these flashlights are not the most budget friendly. They are, however, the best you can get. I really do believe that, and it's probably worth saving the money and eventually getting something of this quality than maybe getting a couple, maybe less capable flashlights. Definitely think this one is a winner and you should check it out. Now, speaking of winners, we're going to move up to a much, much larger size flashlight. So this is a AA. This one here, which is the T2, is actually an 18650 or CR123 flashlight. It can run with 2 CR123s or a single 18650. Now, this battery, this is the one I'm thinking off the top of my head, does not have a Type-C port, which is a bit of a shame. It's also a little bit lower on the amount of storage it has. But the reason I think has to do with the amps on this. This is a 15 amp battery, so it's going to give it an incredible amount of output and works very well. And speaking of output, this flashlight works very similarly in user interface to the last one we talked about, except this high mode is 1900 lumens with, check this out, 46,000 candela and over 431 yards. I don't know why they're using yards, but anyway, they're using yards. 431 yards of throw on this thing. Absolutely ridiculous output on this thing. And if you notice, there's actually some holes that go straight through. What they have done with this is found a way to manage the heat so well. If I leave this on high, it takes a long time for it to heat up. Most flashlights of this power range, I can start to feel major heat buildup within 20 or 30 seconds. And it's still cold to the touch practically at this point. Well, look at that. Look at the stuff in front of it. It's amazing. Very powerful. No, it's still, wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. It does not feel at all like there's any heat. None. It's actually kind of crazy. I don't even know how that's possible. The way they have done heat management on this thing, it just blows my mind. If I grab my Warrior 3 Mini, this light is one of my favorite lights to carry, and I wanted to show it also for size comparison. When I lock this into turbo, I can start to feel the heat about, this does a decent job with heat management, but I can start to feel it warm up about right now. Like the fact that this is significantly more powerful and there's no heat buildup is really impressive. They have really done an incredible job with this flashlight. Just the output is truly remarkable for it. And just like with the smaller variation, this also has a low mode accessed exactly the same way. 4 presses and hold press on the 4th one. And this is going to be a low of, let me look it up here, 53 lumens for low. And that has 1200 candela. So really good distribution on mode sets for this. You definitely have a usable mode for something up close, but it will always come in on turbo as it should be for a defensive flashlight. So the runtime for the high is 1 hour and 20 minutes, And for the 53 lumen mode, it will run for 22 hours without dropping any in output. You can also use a two CR123 batteries, sorry, and that will have a max output of 645 lumens with a 14,000 candela with a runtime of 53 minutes. And then we also have a low mode once again at 53, and it's basically the same stats. It will run for 13 hours though on the runtime. I got nothing really to critique here for the most part. The only thing I'm going to say is I hope they take a page out of the book of the smaller one and make an improvement to the clip design in the sense that I would like to see it have a secondary spot right here. Now, if you don't want to do that, I have a solution for you that is worth pointing out. So Olight has a flashlight called the Warrior 3S. Now, this is the older M2A clip, I think is what it's called, but the modern iteration of the clip still is exactly the same as far as the attachment. So you can get either one, and this will actually just slot right on and function perfectly. This will give you a reversible clip if you want to use it that way. And being that it's an 18650 versus some of the larger ones that use a 21700 battery, it actually has a reasonable weight that you can definitely manage. So believe it or not that dissimilar, maybe a little bit more front heavy than the Warrior Mini would be, but still quite good. So I would definitely get the clip improvement. Personally, you can decide what you want to do, but I really like it with a reversible clip. It just gives me more versatility, and I'm not putting this in my mouth. It's just not going to happen. So that's what I like to do. So that's something you can do with this flashlight. And we're going to talk about this clip with the next one as well. Now, the next flashlight is going to be a little bit different. First of all, this is not a defensive light, or at least it's not set up to be with this head. And this is where we're going to introduce Weltool's modular flashlight system. You can combine basically any of the body and tail switch combinations with any of the 8 different heads that they have for those bodies. So they have LEPs, they have really bright white lights, they have ones that are built very similarly to this in single mode flashlights. They have the full range. All you have to do is buy the head, not the entire flashlight itself. Now, some of those heads can be very expensive. The LEP versions can be upwards of $200. So this is not a cheap system by any stretch, but you can customize it exactly to what you're looking for. And for me, I wanted something a little bit different. So I ended up with what they called the T3G combination. And this is actually a very popular one. I actually had to search around in order to find it. I eventually found it on eBay along with the other two. And this was basically being sold by Going Gear. So this head is a high CRI emitter with 95 plus CRI, which is excellent. It has 2 modes, and it always starts out on the lowest mode, which is 34 lumens and has 804 candela. Now that's still a lot of beam intensity for a flashlight that only has 34 lumens on low. That's actually incredibly bright. It also has 640 lumen high mode as well. This has 14,000 candela. Now let me put these numbers into perspective as far as a high CRI flashlight. That's the kind of numbers that kind of exceed the beam concentration of even my Warrior Mini 3, while being a high CRI light at exactly the same time. And this is running a 18350, okay? Yes, you can get a body that will allow it to run 18650, but the fact that it's having this output with a smaller battery type is pretty amazing. And in fact, this is not that dissimilar in length from the Warrior Mini 3. Now, it's not going to have the versatility that this has, but it makes up for it in being just a really compact package that, well, is a high CRI light, and I really, really do enjoy it. Now, I'm going to give you one major critique with this system, or at least with this body type, is this pocket clip. This is a terrible clip. First of all, for a light that's more than $100, it's really silly that they put a 1-cent clip on it, and yes, it costs that much, I know, because I've seen them on Alibaba. So yes, this is a 1-cent clip, and frankly, they could have done way better. Now, just like with the T2, the M2R clip or the Warrior 3S clip will work on this light. Now, I also noticed that when I went through my collection of clips that this will also function with a clip for a Baton 4. So it's the small flashlight. It will also work for that one as well. And it will work in this orientation, but funny enough, I kind of like it reversed. See, if you look at this, so if I click that in there, it just hits the top, meaning it's going to be buried really deeply, and only a small amount of the metal will be sticking out. So there's many ways they could have improved on this clip, and all of them are better than whatever this thing is. It's just terrible. And that's one thing they need to fix. And it sounds like a small thing, but when you're selling a good product like this, you don't want some perception to pull it down. And I feel like that clip absolutely does that exact thing. It just pulls down an otherwise amazing flashlight. So great setup for this particular one, and I will probably be investing in maybe not all of them, but a good number of the other body types and heads in the future. So you'll probably see this flashlight again, and we'll talk about it again. But what you need to know is if you can stomach the price, which is about 120 bucks, this is a phenomenal flashlight and a great system that lets you basically customize it any way you see fit. So here's the deal. Weltool is not a cheap flashlight system, but they absolutely are meeting my expectations, or in many cases exceeding them on the value prospect. They're some of the best in-class flashlights for the respective outputs, the size, and now that they've improved the user interface on the smaller variation, along with making this one available, these could very well replace a large number of flashlights in my collection that no longer are necessary. The high CRI variation of this, it's simple. Anyone can use it. This AA is kind of amazing, right? Just absolutely incredible. And this larger variation is undisputably like bright enough. Like you don't need a flashlight brighter than this, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I can't imagine what you'd need to put in your pocket that would have to be brighter than this. Anyway, that's just my thoughts on it. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Are you willing to spend 120 bucks on what is the right tool? And I feel like these, in many cases, are absolutely the right tool. As always, thank you guys for your time, and we'll talk again soon.